Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Finance and Audit Committee on the 12th of March 2025. Good evening, sorry. I'd like to just remind everyone to please switch off your phones or put them on aeroplane mode. And just another reminder, there can be a little bit of interference from tapping, whispering, so there has been a bit of interference with the recording on that. If we can just remember to try and refrain from that, please. Public participation, we don't have anyone in today, so there isn't any. To receive apologies for absence, Councillor Winter, Councillor Wilson and Councillor Rustam. That's for that. And then to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Yes, Councillor Timpey.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Rother District Councillor and also a trustee at the Delaware Pavilion.
Thank you.
Rother District Council.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to Chair's announcements. There are none. And then I'd like to approve the minutes of the meeting for the 12th of February. Do I have a proposer for that? And a seconder? And a vote, please. Thank you very much. Very much. Moving on to 6. So I would like to do A, B, C, D, E all together. But before I do that, I'll just let you know the renewal of the insurance is the same price as last year. Just so everyone knows. Yeah, any questions on A, B, C, D or E? No? Okay. Can I then get a proposer for those, please? And a seconder? And a vote? Thank you very much. Moving on to 7. I'm sure we'll have some questions on this. So the first part, 7AI, we will touch base on that. Don't know if everyone's read it, obviously you have, yeah. So what we'd like to do is bring that to the annual statutory meeting about increasing the town clerks.
I'd like, sorry, Chair.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, just one observation. I mean, I did read the audit report and it's obviously very, very good.
Yeah.
Which is, congratulations to the clerk and the staff for all the compliance. As far as this, could I just make a comment on this financial activity and the delegation to the clerk?
Yes.
I still think that even if we raise it, that there still should be a counter signature, which I, will bring up if we're going to do it at the statutory meeting.
Yeah, and that, I think we'll leave that for the statutory meeting, if that's okay, rather than bring it here and any questions. And then Councillor Flynn.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful audit. It's worth just noting for the record that on the first page, I think this just sums it up. It says here, it is therefore our opinion that the systems and internal procedures at Bexhill-on-Sea Town Council are well established and followed. And I think that's a really good sort of a quote to to have from them there.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you very much. And just going on 7 AII, they will be done at the pre-meet from now on, basically. So, okay.
They have to find something, don't they?
Well, it was a very good report, and but as we said, we're working around that, and they're going to be done at the pre-meet, and then the I part of it will be spoken about at the annual meeting. So that's 7. So that's done, and then 8. So that's the purchase ledger system. Any questions on that? No. Okay.
It's silly to say no.
It's just a software system that town clerks ask for that helps them
Move it.
Yeah. Okay, so if there's no questions on it, then can I get a proposer for it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Seconder, thank you. And a vote on that? Yeah, unanimous, thank you. Okay, and that's done. Moving quite quickly. Trying to make it a bit slower today. So
We're just going to slow any minute now. I'm
trying to make it slow down a bit so that right, so we'll go to 9. That's grants and donations. So to consider grants as per Appendix H. So has everyone looked at that?
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen the grants? So shall I start with the top one and then we can just move down whether anyone wants to discuss them rather than doing them as a whole?
Can you,
Councillor Drayson?
can I just ask, just 2 minutes, because they
Yeah.
all look the same on my
Okay.
open page, and I'm trying to find. I found it a minute ago.
I've got it on my laptop if you want to borrow
Yeah,
that.
no, it's all right. I found it a minute ago, but they all look the same. That's the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
So we'll start with the Little Common Methodist Church.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Drayson.
I declare that I pointed them in the direction of the town council,
Okay.
because it's specifically for accessibility.
Yeah.
And at the last meeting we created accessibility, but from my own knowledge they seem to be asking for the full amount, which seems a bit much.
Okay. Councillor Plym, probably, yeah. Councillor Plym?
Yeah, I think Councillor Drayson's right to point out that we start up an accessibility working group, and I think this is a sort of project that group should be nurturing and taken on board. And I don't have any quibble with if they're asking for the full amount, because that means we've helped them get the job done. And I think it will be a shame if we could only but we can only donate a small amount for the grant there, and then they find that they can't fulfil the obligations that they've asked for. So I'll be in favour of giving them the full amount, to be honest.
Yeah, Councillor Drayson? Sorry. Councillor Plym first.
Oh, okay.
I've already got one there.
No, I was just going to ask, I can't quite remember, when we were talking about the accessibility working group, did we ever discuss that they should have a separate budget?
Okay.
And what was it?
I was just going to say, because at the last meeting we put aside £5,000 specifically towards accessibility.
Okay.
But from discussions I had with the clerk, what we didn't do is put down any method, any reasons, any whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we can actually decide to take this from the accessibility pot rather than the other pot, because we've never discussed how you can get in the other pot. I think that's got to go to the clerk.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think you're right, because we haven't set the policy yet. So we said we'd like to put some money aside, but we haven't decided how that's going to be given out to the community. So it might be a little bit preemptive if we give them this and they haven't made an application to that specific pot. Then someone else will want some money from that pot, and we haven't got a policy. So I put a policy in place for that pot first. But you've got enough in this pot to pay for it.
To do it this
So
time,
the alternative is we've only got 2 months left for this pot anyway. So if we don't come up with one before May, that £5,000 presumably will go forward into reserves and not.
No, it's been allocated in reserves. Sorry.
For accessibility.
So it's in reserve, so that'll be there all the time. It's a bit like seal money.
Thank
It's
you.
all sitting there, but we don't have a policy yet how to distribute it.
We'll just get the policy out at some point, but this one can be through this. Yeah, that's fine. Councillor Hill?
The accessibility group was quite a new group anyway, and I think what we said that day was that we needed to check in town to see what problems they could see and what we could come up with in order to help them. And it was just something that was spurted out, spur of the moment, to say if anyone needs £400 to £500 for a ramp or something like that, then that £5,000 was set aside in order to be able to work on smaller bits around the town. And then I believe the last meeting we had last week, we said that maybe we're not well equipped enough to make those decisions ourselves as the accessibility group, and that we needed some help making those more specialist decisions. So it was all up in the air the last time we spoke. So yeah.
I suppose from that point of view,
you expect the applicant to have had the expertise and come with a report from an expert saying this is what we want.
Which is
what we
what
need.
We're just saying here's the money towards what the expert said. But
Okay. Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, and that's the point. I think that's what this group have done. They've had the work done. They've come forward with the work that needs to be put in place to make the area accessible, and so they're just coming to us for the money to make their dreams come true on this project.
It's a long-lasting project as well.
Yeah.
As you know. So,
sustainable, yeah.
yeah. So yeah. I mean, any other questions? Shall I put it on the vote? Okay. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Flynn. Seconder. Councillor Drayson. A vote, Matt, please. Yeah. It's unanimous. Okay. So they've got that. I'll move on to the Bexhill Festival of Music. So they'd like £1,800. So it does say here, obviously, that Rother District Council. Yeah. Oh, you've read. There is. So, any questions on that? Councillor Drayson.
it's a thought more than a question, because I don't know the terms necessarily, the concessory grant from Rother. But I know Rother used to give grants with the idea that after 3 years that would be floating its own and would go its own way after 3 years of thing. And it seems that, I don't know how long they've had this, but the big Bexhill School's Big Sing has been on, I know, for at least 4 or 5 years. And I just wonder why Rother have stopped the grant. Is it just, my colleague might know.
So,
But it's filling that gap. It seems to be, we're just being seen as you will fill it. Having said that, the Bexhill School's Big Sing is a wonderful.
and that's the other thing, that we don't want to lose another.
Yeah.
We want to do something that's great in Bexhill as well in the town. So.
Chair, do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you may recall, Councillor, that it was all part of the cuts that we had to make, and one of them was that this, because originally it was 12,000 that was put towards groups like this that might want to use the hall, and they've had it for quite some years. So it's just the way it is, I'm afraid.
No offers, having to work it at the moment. Okay. Any other, Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, I think it's a well worth cause. What I would say is, though, it seems to be a process that's a yearly event. The event is yearly, and the need for to cover this amount of money off seems to be a yearly event. And Rother had been fulfilling that yearly cycle. Rather next year, I think we should be prepared for this, and rather get them to go through the grants process. It might be wiser to sort of discuss with them a means to sort of have that recorded, that we provide a sort of like we've done with the carnival and for various other sources, that we sort of say, okay, we will fund this for about 5 years or so, and so they don't have to keep coming to us every year for this. We say, look, there we are, we will fund this for 5 years, come back to us in 5 years' time and see how we get on then, and then we go through that process on a 5 yearly basis. I think we've got money in our reserves to budget for that sort of thing, and we can ring fence it for next year easily. But on this application, yes, I'll happily support it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we do need to support festivals and events in the town. We need to make sure that they're still going, and we all know that costs just go up massively every year. And yeah, I mean, if we don't want to lose them, then they are going to need a little bit of support. So any other questions, or I'm going to put it to a vote. So
Just out of interest, would I have to put a motion forward to get that onto a future agenda?
I think you could put it forward now. If you're talking about this subject and you talk about a group, I think you could do it now.
Okay,
if you wanted to, because you control the reserves, and we know we've got a surplus coming.
Okay. Yeah. So after this vote, then, or can we vote the two questions in one?
Do two
Do
separate
this.
resolutions. So
Yeah.
resolution for the grant application coming from this budget,
Yeah.
and then a vote on setting up a regular donation.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll put the vote on this,
Yeah.
and then we can. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, do I have a proposer for this, please? Thank you, Councillor Timothy. And a seconder, Councillor L, and a vote, please. Okay. Unanimous. Thank you. Okay. I'll move on, and then we'll do it at the end. Then.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then so moving on to the Bexhill Downs Ladies Group. You've all seen what they'd like.
Good.
Any,
Can I ask, please, Chair, just only because I haven't got a pen and paper, how are we doing with the money so far?
So we're
Before
very
we talk about it, I make it
we're very close.
6579, but I may not.
So you have,
Yeah. We've got that left.
yeah, that's what I was just doing, 7860. You've already given away 4779.18, and you've just done 1,800. So you've got £1,280.82.
Okay.
And to clarify, is that the sole budget, or does it include the money we put away for every month? I'm just thinking, what we
Believe
we
that's
would
the
have left in April.
In April,
Probably
it would be,
Yeah, financial year ends on the 31st of March.
Yeah. So
This is the
this is the
entire
last
budget
one.
left for this
Yeah.
financial year is £1,280.82.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any other questions on that?
Sorry,
Yes.
sorry, Chair. When I read this, I just something popped into my mind, and I don't know if it was for this thing or for Rother, I can't remember. But this is a lunch, isn't it? And it's not something that's going to it probably recur, but it's not something that's tangible. So I'm just wondering what our policy is about things like this in general.
I believe it would be up to next year's finance
Yeah.
if they were to ask again, but they haven't before, and I think from now on, if they were to ask, then it would come up.
The only thing you can't fund is revenue costs. We've funded a lot of Christmas parties, Christmas dinners, fish and chip days and things like that. So it does fit our policy.
Yeah.
Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, I was just going to point out we have funded Christmas lunches before.
It's Rother then.
It's something that sort of, and they're not asking for the full amount either.
No.
It's roughly half of it.
Again, another group that's good for
exactly.
people meeting up, mental health, etc.,
yeah.
etc. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think all the community groups where they're providing a facility for well-being and creating a community, whatever. I think we should always have a look and be very positive.
Yeah, and I think it's nice to know that we've been able to help, basically.
Yeah.
So, perhaps there's no other questions. I'd like a proposer. Good. Yeah. And a seconder. Thank you very much. And a vote, please. That's unanimous.
780.
Okay.
Could I
So-
ask a quick question before we carry on? Did we not put for a motion at one point where we were going to be able to see anyone who was asking for grants, whether they've asked for a grant before and what they've asked for?
That's what I was asking earlier. I think.
Because I think we put for a motion like that and we accepted it to see if anyone has, so we know.
It's in the report.
Yeah.
So
Table
if you look at the
2.
report, I
It's
put a
in-
table in there each
Oh,
time
there is a
and tell you everybody we've given money to and how much. So if you scroll up to the top. And then if it comes up, so when we receive that application, we look at that table, and if there's somebody that's already in that table, we then do more delving and find out what they asked for last time compared to what they were asked for this time. But that group that we just agreed didn't get given a grant last time, it was turned down.
Sorry, I do apologise.
That's
I can't seem to
That's
find
why
where it
I
is.
recognise the
You
name.
recognise the name because
Yeah.
they asked for some
Yeah.
money and we said it was for revenue, so
Yeah.
we wouldn't do it. and we suggested that they
That's
reapply
it, yeah.
for something that's more tangible,
Yeah.
and that's what they've done. So that's why we recognise
Where in the
it.
report would that be? Sorry, I'm scrolling.
We won't put on the list anyone that was turned down a grant. So the motion was, we'll tell you everybody that's had a grant in the past, and if they apply again, we'll highlight that and then get you more information on the grant they asked for last time.
And that would be on
Table
here, so
2.
On that report,
Table
yeah.
2 is the list of who's had the report, who's had.
Yeah, it won't be on the agenda. It'll be on an appendix
Okay,
attached.
sorry, I do
So that you
apologise.
can-
Under this.
No, I've got the
Yeah.
appendix open, but I've scrolled
It's
up.
right.
instead of
Oh,
down.
yeah.
Sorry, I do
That's all right. No,
apologise.
that's fine. There's so much information there.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Where there
Absolutely.
might be a little bit of confusion is last finance meeting we had another cricket club asking
Yeah,
for
Bexhill.
£500. That was Bexhill Cricket
Yeah.
Club.
How many
That's
more
where I
cricket
made a
clubs are there?
mistake. I was just about to say that as well. That was where I made a mistake last time. So this is Sidley Cricket Club
Exactly.
asking for £500 towards their car park, and obviously you can see what the total cost of it is there.
Mm.
Any questions on that? No?
Again, I mean, the thing is there is it's not the complete cost. They're asking for a contribution towards it, and presumably a bigger car park will benefit people who use that park
Mm.
anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
I wonder.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, sorry, Chair, it was just going through my mind about planning. They've asked for planning.
Could
But
well
that's
have done,
nothing,
but that's not.
nothing to do with us.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have.
Oh,
Obviously.
God.
Okay.
Bless.
So I'd like another question. Yeah, Councillor
Sorry, I
Drayson.
would
Oh, okay. Yeah.
anticipate your next question.
Proposer, okay. Councillor Drayson proposing, and a seconder, please. Councillor Timpey, and a vote, please, on that. Thank you very much. Unanimous. Right. Moving on to the last one. I'm afraid, obviously, we don't have any funds left for that, but it's by the coast, and they're asking for £6,494. There's not much information here saying it's just a community event held at the Delaware. That's it.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
Well,
Yeah.
through you, Chair, thank you. I just found that application really hard to follow because it was her writing, wasn't it? Was it her writing? I can't remember. One of them. And if they have a separate company called Bexfest, why are they creating another company to do the by the coast? I don't understand. Because they'll have accounts for Bexfest, won't they?
Should, presumably,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, I just point out we've only got £200, so I don't think there's much point in sort of delving too much into
Yeah.
this grant and just unfortunately pointing out to the individual, that we have no more money left in the kitty this year.
Yeah.
Perhaps they'd like to apply in the next financial year.
Councillor Drayson?
Yeah, I think.
But that should continue, and if you want to apply the next financial year, include accounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because sorry, Chair, because the application says that the company is just her. There's nobody else. So find that in.
Okay. Can we go back to them and say?
Yeah, I'll let them know to reapply and supply some accounts.
Okay.
Yeah, if
That's great.
possible. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's that. And then moving on, Councillor Flynn. Would you like to
Oh yeah.
Your motion.
your motion?
Festival of Music.
Festival of Music 1.
Oh yes, sorry.
You
no.
referred to 10
thought
minutes
we
ago.
Where we now?
Sorry. Yeah. The motion.
I thought, suddenly thinking to myself, I didn't submit a motion this week.
You're about to.
You were just going to, yes.
Yes, could Bexhill Town Council consider supporting the Festival of Music for a 5-year period? Into negotiations with them, I think, to consider supporting them for a 5-year period.
Yeah.
And then we find out how much money they need from that.
Seconded.
Seconded. Yep. Okay. And a vote for that, please.
Can I just say, is the town clerk happy with the mechanics of how she would do that? Because I know what I think you meant.
It was resolved to investigate the value of funds required for the Bexhill Festival of Music to continue for a 5-year period. Yeah, so I just do that, and then I'll come back with a figure.
Sounds so much better, doesn't it?
So I come back with a figure, and then once I know how much it is for 5 years, roughly, because
Yeah.
it's hard to say what the cost is going to be in 5 years,
Yeah.
but we can do what we did with 18 hours, didn't we? We agreed like a 3-year deal or
Yeah.
something. I'll speak to them.
Could I just maybe add to that is just something like, obviously with the carnival, we did have and then after that, I'm not sure if it was with the carnival, if we've got that, but we do have with other events, that if they're not self-funding after that, then we will re-look at it. Do we need to put anything like that
Or
or
review.
review it?
I think that'll come once we
Once
get the
we've got
information
that.
flowing through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, Chair. Because we're only considering not funding the whole thing, just the facility where they hold those two events, the Big Sing and the proms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
So we need to make that clear to them that we're not saying, you know,
Fund
what
the
is it going to
whole-
cost
yeah.
for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to be very clear.
Okay. Okay. Can I get councillor?
I was just going to remind you.
Yeah,
that
we need to
got
vote on it. Don't we? Yeah. Can I get a vote on it? We had a second. Just need a vote on that, please. Thank you.
Good.
That's,
Excellent.
right. I've mixed up where we are now.
No,
Right.
I'm
Okay. We then have.
Table 2.
Is it 10? Sorry.
Grants and
I've mixed up where
donations.
we are.
We put on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
I meant to mention this.
Yeah.
Councillor Plim asked a question about seal
Yeah.
funds having a policy.
Yeah.
Actually, I've put it on the agenda to
Yeah.
see if you want to have a policy, which I can start drafting for you for seal funds.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
would anyone like to comment on that? Or do I have a proposal for it? Proposer, councillor Flynn. Seconder. Do we know?
Sorry, where are
Sorry, we're on
9B.
9B. No, sorry, no, I got confused as well there. 9B, so to consider drafting a policy for allocating SIL funds to community groups.
It refers to the
So-
question. Sorry, Chair.
yes.
It refers to the question on item 15 as well. When I asked the question, so it's come to this on this agenda as 9B.
So Councillor Plim asked last meeting if there could be used for, if SIL money could be used for accessibility projects. And then,
Sorry, Chair.
yeah.
But isn't there some sort of parameter around SIL money that it has to be for infrastructure?
Yes.
So we have to be careful. But then again, it could still be used for any, you know, such as that accessibility thing where it is going to be a permanent thing. Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
It's a way of using the national SIL policy and adapting it for a particular purpose in Bexhill. On this occasion, it would be for accessibility projects, and therefore, once we got a policy, we will probably be able to highlight that to the accessibility working group and say, look, work with this policy.
Okay, Councillor Tracy.
Taking the exceptions that you've sort of implied because you said about accessibility, what happens if you took away the words to community groups? Because the policy for SIL is like for infrastructure. It is for things, and we should have a policy for it anyway. I mean, you know, it could be. There's just a danger that we could use it for what we've just done a grant for like the Big Sing, which is not. I would suggest something that the SIL money should be being spent on. So I don't know. I suppose I could leave it there because it's part of coming up with the policy, isn't it?
I was going to say.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the policy
yeah.
will probably have.
Yeah.
What
And we
could
won't
spend
pay.
on.
Blah 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 blah.
Once the policy is
Leave it as
presented
it
to
is.
us, we
Yeah.
can adapt it.
Yeah, leave it as it is.
Okay, any other questions on it?
No?
No? Okay, can I have a proposal for that then, please? Thank you. Councillor Flynn? And yeah, Councillor Drayson, yeah. And can I have a vote, please, for that? Okay, thank you very much. That's through. And then 10A is to receive the February hub report. So I'm sure you've all seen that. Great to see again. Move on from that. So health and safety, to receive the updated risk assessment.
Yeah, that's good.
I know there's something Councillor Plym would like to say on that.
I'm just pleased to see the last item on here on page 25, devolution, as a potential risk. And I think we've all got to open our eyes up to this, because we've got to be aware of what may be happening, what may be coming down to us, what may not be coming down to us, how it affects our budgets, how it affects our staffing, how it affects the workload of our current staff. And when we start to look at these things, I'll notice in the actual process, one of the control measures is to develop a detailed transition plan and communicate early with stakeholders. I think that's vital, and I'm pleased to see it's on there, and I think it will sort of dovetail a little bit with what we were looking ahead with visioning exercise. It will quite possibly overtake a vision exercise and lead us forward as how we develop into which will be a bigger council, no doubt about it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Councillor Drayson?
Yeah, just a few things like risk 4 on page 1, can that just be removed? Because we replaced the door and it's no longer heavy. Well, it's just
We've reviewed what's
it doesn't save anything, but just keep putting it on there.
Okay, so as part of your audit requirements, you need to review what's happened in the year.
Oh, right.
So I need to prove that you've addressed all the risks in the year. So
at some point we'll be going, yes, done, tick.
you've done it, it's done.
Yeah.
So then
But the next bit is that we're recommending that you need to look at possibly automatic doors. So I wouldn't really want to remove that because we get quite a few people that can't open the door.
Okay.
So one of our risks there is we're looking at, right, is it right that we should put an automatic door so that people can come and press a button, or because even though we've replaced the door, people still struggle to open it. So that's something we're looking at possibly. So it's kind of not totally complete, but half complete.
Yeah. I had a question about the asbestos bit particularly. Because the likelihood and the potential risk are still high from the asbestos, but it says asbestos survey complete and remedial actions completed. So presumably it's still a high risk and a high likelihood.
So we have to keep
because we've got it. Yeah.
We've got to keep reviewing it.
Thank you. And there was one more, last but not least. 36 and 37 expenses for councillors and expenses for staff. I'm not sure how the additional control measures help with members' advice to read all the papers. Yes, we should all read the papers, but I don't see how that affects expenses.
Because we report the expenses in the reports, and we get lots of questions as to how much. We get lots of questions saying, how much has councillors claimed? Well, they're all in the reports.
Yeah, so, I see what you mean.
We just keep reminding people that before you ask us, read the report.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, how does me reading the paper stop me claiming something? But
you need to check.
Yes.
Because you'll check to see how much. That's another question we get asked: is how much is left in a budget? But we publish the surplus or the amount of funds that are left in the budget every month. So a councillor can easily go onto the finance page and see how much is left in the budget. So we encourage councillors to look at that first before they come to us.
I had a couple of others, Chair, but bearing in mind I've lost on all three through logic and common sense, I won't bother with the other two. Thank you.
That's not a win or lose. Risk assessment.
You did win, mate. Any other questions on that?
Yeah, going back to number 51, the devolution thing, and it's obviously a high risk, and it says staff structure under review to increase capacity. But I presume that because we have so little information at the moment, that's not going to be any time soon, is it? That we're going to be increasing staff because we don't have the facilities to house them.
I'd take that to mean constantly under review.
Well,
I know, but
no, because it relates to 51, which is about devolution and the high risk. So I'm really just asking. I thought we'd had conversations that we just don't have room for any more people. So I don't know how that's a control measure, but there we go.
Okay. I'm guessing it's in there for future,
Yeah.
because we say it's not happening anytime soon, but it will be there before you know it, I think.
Yeah.
So, Councillor Flynn?
Yeah, you can't exactly put a date on it and a time on it.
No.
It's happening in the future. This is just to set out the risk. We think,
Risk
there's going to be a
that-
risk.
No,
And what is the risk going to be? It's going to be this.
Yeah.
Well, how do we alleviate that risk? Well, you have to employ more people. When? We don't know. Who? We don't know. How? We don't know. But that will come.
So it should say when we
develop.
have further information,
Well,
because it just says
will be reviewed.
I just
it's,
think
it's,
something
constant, it's a live document, so it's constantly being reviewed.
Because the other day, I wasn't even aware that Rother, for example, organised the bulldozing of the pebbles on the beach. So
Yeah,
where's
they
that
do.
going to go? Yeah, but I mean,
Well,
Seed fences, isn't it?
yeah, sorry, John.
but even things like that, you know, we don't know whether they're going up, down, sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's something that's going to come, and I understand that you're saying it's not soonish, but it will be. I think before you know it, will be there. So it's just something there, ready for it.
But through you, Chair, I think that, I mean, we're all looking at devolution as tangible things, property, assets, but there are such things such as, all these services that just happen behind the scenes that nobody really knows goes on. And, there's an awful lot happens.
And as you said,
That nobody really, and I'm concerned about where they're going to go. I mean, in Fairlight, for example, there are 56 wells in the ground that we control and look after to make sure that the cliff doesn't collapse into the sea. Who knew? So we've got lots of things going on.
I guess we'll find out pretty soon
When they
stop
working.
Yeah. I hope we get a comprehensive list. I asked the other day about when is it coming.
Yeah.
But it's
I'm guessing no one can answer that at the moment.
well,
but
apparently
we will.
Bexhill is like massive amount of assets.
It'll be interesting to see when it does.
Let's
come.
hope we get to keep all those assets and they're not squirreled away to other parties.
Well,
Okay, thank you very much. So that's health and safety. We've received that. We've had a chat about that. That's great.
yeah,
Um,
very good.
Recommendations from committees, there are none. Motions from councillors, there are none. Correspondence and matters for information, again there are none. Just to note the question from Councillor McLean and the answer, we've spoken about that already. Moving on to B, 15B, so that is to receive questions from councillors and any future agenda items. Are there any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Could I just ask through you to the clerk, did the Speedwatch people ever contact you?
Yeah, that's not relevant to this meeting though, I'll talk to you about it.
No, it was on there. Some minutes.
Um,
It came up. The reason I
Oh,
asked
sorry.
is because it was in the minutes
yeah,
that we've just looked at.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then moving on to C then, if there's no other questions, to consider any new risks for future mitigation.
Consider what?
Any
Future
new
risks.
Just future
New
risks. Being through the risk assessment as well with that. So, and then 16, so again, an overview. I'm not going to go through that, but and then that's it for today. So, date of next meeting is the 9th of April 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.